Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. We begin with the ongoing demolition of what was supposed to eventually become the second span of the Ambassador Bridge. It marks the end of a long saga while also taking a toll on some neighbors. Dawson Chen reports.
It was meant to begin the doubling of the Ambassador Bridge, and now it's subject to a major demolition operation. Heavy work is underway to take down a ramp that was originally conceived 18 years ago as the start of a second span of the Ambassador Bridge. West End resident Henry Sway says the noise and commotion is affecting people's quality of life.
I live directly across the street from the rubble and the construction, the demolition that's going on right now. Every single day from 7 a.m. it feels like an earthquake inside the house. My walls are rumbling, but the level of noise and shaking is really, it's even hard to talk over right now. It goes on all day from 7 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. I think it's not only affecting our sleep, our hearing, but it's affecting our productivity during the day as well.
The ramp was built in 2007 under the direction of late bridge owner Matty Maroon, who opposed government plans for what eventually became the Gordie Howe International Bridge. After years of legal battles and wrangling over permits, company heir Matthew Maroon abandoned the twinning idea. But the bridge company is moving forward with extending its inspection plaza on our side of the river. More than a dozen bridge-owned houses on Indian Road have been demolished as part of that project. Airbnb customer Renee Laux says she had no idea so much work was being done around the neighborhood.
We just arrived yesterday. We didn't realize that I'd be in a war zone. This morning I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to hammering. It's just horrible. I got a good price, so that's a good thing.
The Ambassador Bridge Company did not respond to CBC Windsor's request for comment. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Here's some positive economic news if you're looking for some. Even though our region has been the epicenter of the U.S. trade war with the automotive industry hit with tariffs, it looks like the local real estate market is holding steady despite the murky economic outlook.
Our real estate market is resilient and strong.
Chen says there's been a lot of pessimism, especially since the auto tariffs were announced in March. But she says the numbers are telling a different story. The average price of a home in April was about $580,000, a slight drop from the month before, but pretty much on par with the same time last year. So overall, prices have remained fairly consistent. Also, inventory is up, but sales have dropped compared to a year ago.
I would say we are transitioning to a more balanced market. As for the buyers, you will have more options to pick and choose, right? So which means that, we have more negotiation powers.
That's the shift that's accelerated this buyer's search for her next home. Sahara Sahandabadi started looking 6 months ago, but says the moment is now.
So far, this is the best time for me because I see better options and more options actually. I feel that the sellers are more reasonable now. So like when you want to put an offer or if you're negotiating, they are more open.
Chen says even though in some cases there are still bidding wars with some houses selling well over asking, she says sellers need to adjust in this market.
You're going to have to be more realistic in terms of the pricing and the timeline expectations. When we are in a balanced market, nobody's in a rush. The seller is not in a rush. The buyer is not, should not be in a rush either.
She adds buyers are very cautious right now because of the economic uncertainty. But that's not deterring Sahandabadi, who works as an engineer in the automotive industry.
Of course, with the tariffs comes a little bit of, anxiety. But I think, we have to just keep our hopes up.
Looking ahead, Chen says she's confident the market will stay strong. And she adds that she doesn't foresee a crash coming anytime in the near future. Colin Kennedy is with us now for our first look at weather on this day where we got some sunshine with a side of chilly temperature.
Yes, and let's focus for a moment anyway, on the chilly part of that, because here we are more than a week into the month of May, and I need to stand here and tell you about some frost advisories. So Windsor not in this, but you can see it is a large area into southwestern Ontario and does include Sarnia, and we are looking at some areas where the temperature is close enough to freezing that patchy frost may develop. So if you have plants you want to protect tonight, this is your heads up. 4 degrees will be our low. Tomorrow, sunshine, and how about 18?
Can't believe we're talking about frost right now, Colin.
I know.
Thanks so much. We'll check back in a little later.
Okay.
Up next, there is a new leader of the world's Roman Catholics, and it is an unexpected choice. For the first time in history, the Pope is American. Megan Williams is in the Vatican with more.
It was an electrifying moment to hear the announcement that an American, Robert Prevost, has become the leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Many people thought that that would never happen. There was always this idea that to balance the superpower United States, that the Vatican would never have an American Pope. And of course, that went out the window, I think, for a couple of reasons. One, Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, is also Peruvian. He spent the past 2 decades in Peru. He is very well known in Latin America, and likely that's where a lot of the votes came from. The other reason is the change in the United States under President Donald Trump. Leo XIV and Trump could not be further apart politically. Leo is very much in line with Pope Francis's values and emphasis in the Catholic Church, reaching out to the poor, to migrants, going out into the world and making an open, welcoming church. It is very clear by the name that he chose. The previous Leo XIII, was a pope that also was very focused on social justice, that issued into the church social teaching, and was very much on the side of exploited workers. Megan Williams, CBC News, the Vatican.
In LaSalle, the selection of a new pope was a project for students at St. Thomas of Villanova Catholic Secondary School. Our video producer Darren DiCarlo was there when the news came in.
100%, that's yours. It is yours. It's yours.
I don't know. I think it was just like the way he looks so humble in this picture. He doesn't look like he's looking for fame or pride. I think that's what drew me to him.
Wasn't looking for fame, but now he becomes the world's most famous man.
Yeah, now he's really famous. First American Pope.
Yeah.
So we created a grouping of 25 that were kind of like the most talked about candidates for the papacy from all of the cardinals, and they had to choose a cardinal. Then they researched that cardinal, and then they came up with a trading card for them that had a number of different elements to it, which was where they're from, how old they were, some interesting facts about them, and then ultimately why they felt that they deserved for that cardinal to actually be the Pope.
So we have to really think that, like, despite everything going on in the world, we should never lose hope, because, you never know when's the next North American Pope's gonna get elected, right?
I just hope that he's a forward thinker and he moves forward in the church and, progresses everything.
I want to see in a pope someone who actually cares about the people that he's representing, not just looking to have a great title, or someone who actually wants to make the community better and improve Christianity as a whole. That's what I want in a pope.
The sexual assault trial of 5 former World Junior hockey players continues in London, Ontario. The complainant, known as EM due to a publication ban, faced more questions from the lawyer for one of the accused. Alice Chiasson has more from the courthouse, but first, a warning. Some details in the story are disturbing.
Carter Hart's defense attorney, Megan Savard, says to EM, "I want to talk to you about crying." She's referring to EM's testimony this week that while trying to leave the hotel room, she allegedly heard one of the hockey players say, "Don't let her leave, she's crying." Savard compared that to EM's police statements from 2018, where she claimed the men said, "Come on, don't leave," suggesting, quote, "The reason you invented this story of the men saying, 'Don't let her leave, she's crying,' you wanted it to be more likely that the jury will see this as worse than it was." EM denied this, saying there were several parts in the police statement where she says she was crying in the hotel room and, quote, "I have no reason to come up with a worse version." The exchange between Savard and EM was terse at times. We spoke with Christopher Sharon, the Associate Dean of the Faculty of Law at Western University, about how defense teams have to consider how they come across to the jury.
I've seen it happen where a witness is cross-examined to such an extent that it can actually sort of rebound against the cross-examiner or the cross-examiners. People start to feel sorry for the witness, and people start to become a little more forgiving than they otherwise would be of inconsistencies, of errors, of perhaps not being perfectly responsive to the question, simply because they understand a person is enduring a very difficult experience.
Daniel Brown, the defense counsel for Alex Formanton, began his cross-examination this afternoon, and that will likely carry on to tomorrow. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, London, Ontario.
And we know that these stories are difficult to hear, so please do take care. And Windsor does have a 24-hour crisis line available through the Sexual Assault Crisis Center. Reach out if you need. You can connect with them at 519-253-9667 24/7. On a lighter note now, it was a special experience as 25-year-old time capsules were opened at a Windsor elementary school. Dawson Chen walks us down memory lane.
It was the turn of the millennium. Students at a Windsor Catholic grade school filled time capsules with notes to themselves, including future lifetime ambitions. Former grade 7 student Anthony Sunson had plans involving a certain pop star.
A thing I wrote about Britney Spears and how I would want to marry her. At that time, she was very, very popular and, good looking, and I married much better anyway.
Hundreds of adults packed W.J. Langlois Catholic Elementary School to review the contents of time capsules that were sealed in the year 1999. The multi-grade project was meant to help students understand themselves and their era better. But former grade 7 teacher Robert Ferranti says it's been a learning experience for himself as well, more than a quarter century after the time capsules were made.
To see my former students here in the same classroom I taught them in 25 years ago with their spouses and their children, and to see how much they've grown is just incredible. It seems to me it brings back a simpler time. We weren't on our devices. I think the internet just started at the time. Nobody had a cell phone. It doesn't feel like 25 years ago. It feels like it went by in a blink of an eye, and part of me thinks it feels like yesterday that we did this. And another part of me feels that passage of time. It's a very odd sensation.
For Michelle Yunin Wahala Thanthridge, who's now a mother of 2 kids, the class where she contributed to the time capsule was also where she met her eventual husband, although they didn't know it at the age of 12.
I have a lot of great memories at the school. This classroom was very important. I met my husband in this grade, and we got together later on in life, but this is where we first met, so it's exciting.
Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
As Canada's healthcare system comes under growing strain, the need for blood, plasma, and organ donations is rising fast. Canadian Blood Services is now setting an ambitious goal: 1 million new donors over the next 5 years.
I'm here to save you.
Like you're here to save me.
It's gonna be bright, sunshiny days.
That ad, part of the new organization's Who's Saving Who campaign, aimed at growing their donor base to match emerging needs in Canada. CBS says demand for blood is expected to increase by 10% in the next 5 years, while the need for medicine from plasma donations could go up by 50%.
This campaign is really flipping that script a little bit, saying, sure, we know that giving blood saves a patient's life. We all know that. But this is also meant to say to donors, and importantly to potential donors, those people out there who haven't yet made that commitment. There is something special when I give blood that I get to benefit from.
Over 70% of Canadians say giving blood or plasma is a meaningful way to support their community, but only 2% of the population actually provides donations. Canadian Blood Services says it's easy to sign up for an appointment online or walk in to a donor clinic. A live look outside there. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more news. Welcome back. Hostilities between India and Pakistan continue to intensify in the disputed Kashmir region, each accusing the other of aggression. India says 18 people have been killed on their side of Kashmir after exchanging fire. Meanwhile, Pakistan says it downed dozens of Indian drones. Rebecca Bundan has the latest.
Information has been coming through thick and fast this evening, and much of it is unverified. However, from what we're gathering from local Indian media, eyewitness accounts, reports coming through on news wires, there have been explosions that took place in the city of Jammu, in India's Jammu and Kashmir, and that was followed by sirens and a blackout. Now, Indian media are reporting that it's understood that there have been Pakistani drones or missiles that have been targeting that area, and that they've been intercepted by Indian defense systems. Now, this would represent a significant escalation in this already very tense situation between India and Pakistan following that attack that took place last month in Indian Kashmir, which largely targeted Indian tourists. India blaming Pakistan, something Islamabad has denied any involvement in that. But the situation escalated already this week with the strikes that were carried out by India on Pakistan, which India says killed 100 terrorists, while Pakistan says it killed civilians. Now, earlier today as well, Pakistan had said that it had shot down 25 Indian drones in its airspace. India had said that it had targeted Pakistani air defense systems after Pakistan had tried to hit military sites in north and western India. Now, this shows that tensions are still very much, it seems, escalating, despite India saying that it doesn't want this situation to escalate, but it has warned that if there are military attacks, it would respond firmly. Rebecca Bunden for CBC News, Mumbai.
A Salvadoran refugee and her family were turned away twice by Canada and ended up detained in a windowless cell in the U.S. for 14 days. Justice Canada reviewed the case after CBC News reported their story. And now the family has been allowed to enter Canada and apply as refugees. Jorge Barrera reports.
Araceli Serrano says she feels hope. That this time Canada will let her in, with her daughters Madeleine, 14, and Itziana, 4. Twice they've been turned away after Canadian border officials doubted documents, Araceli said, proved she had brothers in Canada, key to an asylum claim from the U.S. Each rejection sent her and her family into a holding cell at this port of entry in Niagara Falls, New York, for a total of 2 weeks. No windows, no breath of fresh air.
It's like agony that you go through that.
Her brother said he was told Araceli faced long odds getting Canada to hear her asylum claim.
They don't see it very often, they said.
But he didn't give up and called for help. And help came with immigration lawyer Heather Neufeld, who took the government to court.
They made mistakes, and I'm hoping that those mistakes will be corrected.
Immigration Canada relented and agreed to let Araceli and the girls in. We're getting close to Canada, says Araceli, heading to the same port of entry that rejected her before. As someone living undocumented in the U.S., she again faces the risk of detention with her daughters if this attempt fails. On the other side, her brothers wait, as Araceli's claim is reconsidered for 12 long hours. And then...
How you doing? Okay.
For now, celebration. Soon they'll focus on getting Araceli's husband, Marcos, into Canada so they can all try to stay here for good. He remains detained in the U.S., facing deportation to El Salvador. Jorge Barrera, CBC News, Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Stay with us. Kala Kennedy will join us after the break with your Friday and weekend forecasts. Colette Kennedy is back with us for more on weather. Earlier, Colette, you dropped the frost bomb.
Yes.
But it's just part of a bumpy road to get to nicer weather. So talk us through what's ahead.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, we get the clearing, which is nice, but we have had some cooler air filtering in, and then with clear skies overnight, so no little blanket of cloud or anything to keep any daytime heat we have been getting in, it does lead to some issues. And so if you do have vegetation that you can still protect, you may want to be doing that tonight. Tomorrow night's even a little bit on the cool side, but it will be patchy in nature, but you can see a large part of southwestern Ontario in that frost advisory. Here's all the cooler air across Ontario. That is until you get towards northwestern Ontario, away from Thunder Bay. You got to go over towards Kenora where it's 20 degrees. Never mind that. Let's head into the prairies. 27 in Winnipeg, Regina at 27, and Saskatoon at 23. So that's some of the warmer air to the west of us, and we are going to be moving towards a trend of our temperatures going up and becoming quite mild as we move forward. So it's going to be a gentle climb starting tomorrow. All right, our current reading 11 degrees, Sarnia just at 5, and Goderich at 9, not even making it into those double digits, and still that cooler breeze coming in from the north to northwest. And so as we move forward in time, it's still a little bit breezy as we go through the overnight, but by tomorrow those winds will be easing. And with some lighter winds, that's going to feel a little bit better too. Plus, as a ridge of high pressure builds in, we're going to be looking at clear skies. Yes, clear skies at night, but then sunshine during the day for multiple days moving forward. There will be activity going around us, but this ridge of high pressure is going to protect us. Now watch what will be happening a little further east is as this area of low pressure comes together, it's going to start to push some cloud cover and moisture back towards Ontario, but that stays in eastern Ontario. We'll get a little bit of fair weather cloud that comes through and nothing more than that. And that's just a bit of a cool down as we go towards Mother's Day. So the temperatures come up, it just resets a little bit, and then they really push up at the beginning of next week. So overnight tonight, yes, some readings dropping all the way to freezing. 4 for Windsor overnight tonight. It doesn't have to drop to freezing to have some frost development. 18 tomorrow, Saturday 24. I said a little dip. That's what I mean by a little dip in temperatures for Mother's Day. A really nice day shaping up 22. And then there comes some of the warmth. And yes, by the time we get to Tuesday, I do have to bring in a chance of some showers as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Colette. And yeah, 22, not so bad.
Beautiful
We
day.
can handle that on Mother's Day. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.